What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the episode of Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Jeremy Lyers. So today's a very special day in sports. We have the start of the Frozen Four tournament. That'll start up today at 2. You have the start of MLB baseball today, opening day, which is obviously special. And then also the start of the Sweet 16 tonight as well. So I'm going to preview some of those games. But before doing so, I'm going to recap some of the games over the last week. In the first round, I thought McNeese State was going to beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga ended up beating them rather easily, winning that game 86-65. McNeese State shot very good from three in the regular season, but they were just 5 of 22, 23% from three in that game. Their defense did force some bad passes from Gonzaga, but it really wasn't enough to stop them. They still gave up 86 points. Gonzaga did have 13 turnovers, though. A big issue in that game was size. Gonzaga just was too big for McNeese State. Out-rebounded the Cowboys 47-34. Credit to McNeese State, though. They did battle on the offensive glass, did grab 14 offensive rebounds. Then in the round of 32, NC State took care of Oakland 79-73 in overtime. NC State did win 5 games in 5 days in the ACC tournament, and now have won 2 games in the Big Dance. They're getting momentum at the right time, and I always say if you win just that first game in the ACC tournament, and any tournament in general, that could be a spark for a big run. NC State dominated Oakland in the paint, outscoring them 38-24 in the paint. Credit to DJ Burns. He had a great game, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists with the block. Trey Townsend did have a good game for Oakland, 30 points and 13 rebounds. Jack Golke, the guy that had a great game against Kentucky, had 22 points and 8 rebounds off of 6 of 17 shooting from 3 for Oakland. But NC State did enough defensively in overtime to outscore Oakland 13-7 in the extra period. Like I said before, just winning 1 game in the ACC tournament and then in March Madness as well brings a lot of momentum, and you could go on a roll like the Wolfpack did. We'll see what they do in tomorrow's game. Creighton escaped in a double overtime thriller over Oregon, winning that game 86-73. This game went to double overtime. Creighton outscored the Ducks 50-2 in the second overtime period. The wheels completely fell off for Oregon in that one. Creighton took a lot of threes during the game. That's what keeps them in a lot of games. When they're struggling to score in the paint, the three-point shooting is their identity. Oregon outscored Creighton 42-22 in the paint. And also, Creighton grabbed 18 offensive rebounds, which led to 21 second-chance points. Nearly 1/4 of Creighton's total points in the game were second-chance points. Creighton had 4 scorers with more than 18 points and 3 players that played 50 minutes in that game. They have to be exhausted, but the Blue Jays don't really rely on their bench for much scoring. So obviously the guys are going to be tired considering they have to do a lot more scoring and play a lot more minutes. Then on Sunday, Houston had a gutsy win in overtime over Texas A&M. 4 of Houston's key players fouled out in the game. They also blew a double-digit lead in the last 2 minutes of regulation. Still found a way to win. Even despite all of that, they found a way to fight through the adversity and win the game. Texas A&M sent the game to overtime with a 3-pointer from Anderson Garcia as time expired. That was Garcia's only 3-point attempt of the game. Obviously came at a big moment there, and he ends up hitting it, sending it to overtime. The Cougars had to rely on Ryan Elvin off the bench to hit a big free throw in OT. Elvin only averaged 3 minutes per game during the regular season, but obviously you have to stay ready. You never know what can happen, and obviously with all the guys fouling out for Houston, they had to go to the bench to shoot some big free throws. Elvin ended up hitting one of the 2 shots he had. Houston had TJ Cryer, Emmanuel Schaub, and Jamal Shed all foul out. 3 very good guards, a big part of their ferocious defense as well. Shed hit some big shots, really put the team on his back before fouling out in overtime. Hits some big shots down the lane, finishing with 45 minutes played, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and 7 of 18 shooting. He was 0 for 5 from 3. Schaub had a great game, too, for Houston. 30 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. 7 of 14 from 3. Houston didn't even play that well in this game. They were out-rebounded by the Aggies 52-35. They gave up 28 offensive rebounds, and Houston still found a way to win the game, giving up 28 offensive rebounds and being out-rebounded by 17 rebounds. Their defense did force 11 turnovers. They had 6 steals and 8 blocks. That was a big difference maker for Houston. Obviously playing great defense has been their storyline all season long. A&M needed more scoring from their top scorer. Wade Taylor was their scorer all season long, 20 points per game of the year. He did have 21 points in the game, but off of 5 of 26 shooting and 3 of 13 from 3. Purdue took care of Utah State, blowing them out 106-67. Like I thought they would, I honestly thought Purdue would silence the haters and win a few games in the tournament. This team is a powerhouse. They led that game 49-33 at halftime and didn't let up in the second half, outscoring Utah State 57-34 in second half scoring. Purdue dominated on the glass, out-rebounding Utah State by 23 rebounds. Also had 29 assists as an offense to Utah State's 9 assists for their offense. So obviously Purdue just had everything going their way defensively and offensively, and obviously rebounding the ball. Purdue shot the 3 very well, 48% as a team. They had 46 points in the paint. They were just too big for Utah State to keep up with. Zach Edey finds a way to get the job done. Just like UConn as a team, they always find a way to get the job done. And obviously they've done that all season long. Edey, I know, hasn't really had too much success in March Madness, But if you look at his numbers every game this season, he's really shown up in most games. And it just seems like every time you look up, Zach Edey has a double-double in a monster game, just like Nikola Jokic every single night. And just like UConn seems to always be up by 15 points in a blink, just naturally those teams and players are always up. Zach Edey's always having a monster double-double. Jokic always has a double-double somehow. And the same goes for UConn. UConn and both of those players always seem to be putting up big numbers and being up just in the matter of a blink. Edey finished the game with 23 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 steals. Purdue has a chance to win it all. I think they're legit. They're going to face Gonzaga tomorrow. That's going to be a tough game. I do think Purdue wins that one. Duke dominated James Madison in the second round, just completely outmatched them, winning that game 93-55. The same thing as Purdue over Utah State. Duke completely outmatched James Madison. James Madison could not handle the ball against Duke's defense. Within a minute in the game, I knew James Madison had no chance. 14 turnovers to JMU with a lot early in the game. They really just put themselves at a deficit right away. James Madison shot just 4 of 18 from 3, 22% from three-point land, while Duke shot the ball very well, 14 of 28 from 3. JMU did do a good job driving down the lane and getting to the free throw line, but they were just 13 of 23 from the line, 56% as a team. Duke's top recruit, Jared McCain, had a great game for the Blue Devils, 30 points off of 10 of 15 shooting from the floor and 8 of 11 from 3. As for San Diego State, they silenced a lot of doubters, picking up a big win over Yale, 85-57 over the Bulldogs. Same story as Purdue and Duke. San Diego State just completely dominated Yale in every facet of the game, and that when San Diego State out-rebounded Yale 39-25, outshot Yale 48% to 36% from 3. The Aztecs just meant business from the tip-off in this one, outscoring the Bulldogs 45-21 in the first half. They ultimately ended up winning the game 85-57. Jaden DeLee led the way for San Diego State with 26 points and 9 rebounds and 9 of 12 shooting from the floor. So now I'm going to get to the Sweet 16 predictions. So we have the East and West playing today, and then the South and Midwest playing tomorrow. So tonight we have Arizona versus Clemson, the number 2 seed in the West versus the number 6 seed in the West. I'm going to go with Clemson winning this one. They made a great run so far in the tournament. I was not really confident in them heading into this tournament, but they've really proven me wrong. They've only trailed by 30 seconds in March Madness. Arizona is very inconsistent, very turnover prone at times. I think Clemson finds a way to win this one. Then we have UNC versus Alabama, the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed. I'm going to go with Alabama winning this one. I think their defense is obviously a worry, but if they can find a way to get a couple stops in crucial moments, that'll be a big question for them. And if they can do that, they win this game. Their offense is capable of scoring with any team in the country. They can win any game just by shooting. But here's the problem. They can't go cold and have a bad cold stretch where UNC just takes advantage of them. They need to find a way to stay hard on offense and still find a way to keep up with UNC on defense. It's going to be a tough game either way. I think it's going to be very close, but I'm going to pick Alabama there. And then in the East Regional at the TD Garden, number 1 UConn versus number 5 San Diego State. I think UConn wins this game, but I think it's going to be a close game down to the wire. It's a rematch of the 2023 March Madness Final. I do think UConn is the better team, but I think it's going to be a close game. And then we have number 3 Illinois versus number 2 Iowa State. I think Illinois is going to win this game. I know Iowa State's the better defensive team, and obviously Illinois has really struggled on defense this season, so you have a great offense versus a great defense. I'm going to side with a great offense here. I'm going to roll with Illinois winning this one. I know it's risky, but I have a feeling they win. And then in tomorrow's games in the South Regional, we have number 2 Marquette versus number 11 NC State. I think NC State wins this game in a thriller. Marquette barely escaped versus Colorado in a close game. I think NC State's rolling right now. I'm going to pick them to win this one. And then we have number 1 Houston versus number 4 Duke. I like Houston a lot to win this game. I know they're a scrappy team that likes to play defense, a very good defensive team. They have a great culture of guys who give it the roll every single possession. The definition of a team that I like is a team that plays hard in each and every possession, and they just continue to fight through adversity. This game's going to be a great game, probably the best of the Sweet 16 games in my opinion. I think Houston ends up winning that one. And then in the Midwest Regional, we have number 1 Purdue versus number 5 Gonzaga. I'm going to pick number 1 Purdue. Gonzaga did just dominate Kansas with a 31-point win, but they did give up 34 points in the paint to Kansas. I think Purdue was a big game in the paint with Edey. And then we also have number 2 Tennessee versus number 3 Creighton. I'm going to stick with Creighton winning this one, but I am a little bit nervous. I had Creighton winning it all. If I didn't have Creighton winning it all before the tournament began, I would probably pick Tennessee, but I'm going to stay with Creighton. As to who I think is going to win it all right now, I think Houston has the ability to win it all. I think Houston versus UConn would be my matchup right now, the way I think things work out. Anyways, that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. As always, I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.